Hi. So this video is a little different from most of my other videos because it's almost entirely scripted. Normally, when I do a video, I have some brief notes that I'll write up on Tumblr in a draft, and then I will just read them and elaborate on them. But when I do that, I often miss out on things that I would have liked to discuss. So for this one, I wanted to make sure I covered every single part of this topic. So I've written everything out, pretty much every single thing out here. I hope that doesn't make my delivery like too stilted, but it might. That's just the facts of the matter. This is different than what I normally do. So to get to the topic at hand, illegal manga scans still prompt a lot of discussion and arguments in manga and anime circles. I have personally always had a bias against scans. When there was no way to read manga officially on release, I tolerated them, but now that manga is free officially day and date with release in Japan, I'm very against them. My reasons for that will be explained over the course of this video, and I'll be generally talking about scans for Shonen Jump manga here, though what I say could most likely be applied to other series too, though there are exceptions like series like JoJolion, where scans are sort of a necessity because there's no official release at all, and online manga, which are published for free, and scans always come out after the official release because they're online only, so scans aren't as much of an issue. So how I want to frame this video is that manga fans have had plenty of opportunities to stop reading scans and switch to official versions, but scans continue to be a huge thing. Manga trends on Twitter only when scans release. That's when it trends. Only when scans release, as far as I've seen, it never trends with the official versions. I don't know the exact statistics, famously difficult word, but that seems to show that scans are still viewed more than official releases, just in general, that Twitter trend. But, in my opinion, scans are bad. They look worse, they're often translated worse, and they create division in fan communities, with scan readers often regarding themselves as better than people who read the official version. And yes, probably the reverse does also happen, though I haven't personally seen it as much. So the question is, how do we, and I guess being anyone who reads the official version, stop scans? And this is perhaps not really a video about how we, the reader, stop scans, but about how the company itself can stop scans. Because, there's only so much the readers can do. So clearly the legal threats that publishers seem to put out every once in a while don't really help all that much. When one site goes down, another just comes up. I mean, it happened amazingly quickly when those two big scan sites, MangaStream and Jiminy's Box, I still never know what the heck that name was about. When those went down, scans were out within a week. They were back. So the question is, what is something that the manga industry can actually do to sort of sway fans in the right direction beyond just like continuing to shut sites down irregularly as they do? So, let's see here. Where was I in my notes here? So, this was it. First, and scan readers watching this video might be surprised at this point, because it's a little bit of a negative point on the official release side. They should improve the website that they use as a manga reader. And this is, of course, specifically talking about the Shonen Jump website. I understand that the website and app need to be improved. It's a fact, and I think it's a major thing that they could do. They're usually not as good as a lot of the sites that scans are hosted on. They don't have many options, the reading options. And I think the mobile apps can't even show two-page spreads like fully and correctly. There's not really a way to do that as far as I've heard. So that's about the only point of comparison where this is the case, where scans do things better than the official version. And one major thing that I think the official sites actually need to improve is the comments section. Right now, the Jump site, and I don't know how Manga Plus works, which is the international version, just has a really bare comments list sorted by most recent, with the most recent at the top, the oldest at the bottom. There's nothing like threads. There's no way to specifically respond to anyone else's comment aside from sort of acting like you tagged them in your own comment. But when you do that, you write, the little @ sign, the person's name. It doesn't actually tag them. You just have to rely on the hope that they're going to come back to the page and read your comment and respond to you. and then you might forget to check. So this discussion that you tried to start, and this has definitely happened to me, might just be a non-starter, you know? So I think that's a major thing that the Jump site needs to improve. That one of those scan sites, MangaStream, used to have a really good comment section at the end of every chapter. I was always surprised by how much discussion there would be on that comments page, because it was just sort of, you finish a chapter, you click, and there's this comments page. Like, normally I would just go, whatever, I don't want to read this. But whenever I would, there'd be a ton of discussion. So clearly, people are into that. You know, they'll have that discussion even if it's not on a Discord, if it's not on a fan forum. They'll have it right with the chapter itself. So the reader should just be the best reader around. I mean, that's just the logic, you know? If the site works the best, people are going to go to it. Yeah. So that is my first point. But we don't really know if that's going to happen. And there is something that I think the publishers could do that would really, really sway people's opinions, rather than sort of trying to convince them through making a good website. And what I think they could do, and this is a long shot, but this is really just something I'm sort of putting out there as an idea, is to have an established weekly Shonen Jump manga author make a video message about how bad scans are. This would be effective, even as just a short message, but ideally it will go into specifics about how scans are inferior, I'm going to say it, to the official versions. This mangaka could explain, or they could alternatively introduce an explanation of, because Shonen Jump mangaka are pretty notoriously kind of reclusive. They could explain how scans visuals tend to have darker and less defined art, which completely ruins art that has a large variety of shading, such as in manga like Dr. Stone. This is not all manga. There are some manga that have very flat, sort of non-shaded drawing style. One Piece tends to not have too much shading. But Dr. Stone has an absolute ton. Dr. Stone has many pages that will use photorealistic elements, which look horrible in scans. They look muddy. It looks awful. And the strange thing is that not with manga like Dr. Stone, but with manga where you don't notice it as much, like with One Piece, I've seen people actually say that they have gotten used to this and don't like the official version as much because the art does not pop as much. You have that bold, dark sort of art. People actually get used to that. This could be mentioned by this whoever's presenting this video. And, you know, it should be said that despite what readers may prefer or be used to, it's not what the mangaka actually drew, not the closest thing to their vision. I mean, that's just a fact, you know? It's like strange that people are okay with the visual downgrade and scan, just knowing that they're not getting what this person really drew and sketched out and worked on. So, yeah, this seems very obvious to most of us, but it might be something that some people actually need to hear from a trusted source, like a manga author. So after that, there comes the issue of translation. And in my experience, scan readers seem to almost uniformly believe that though both sources make translation mistakes, scans on the whole make less. In my personal experience, this is not necessarily true, and I might be biased on that, I'm willing to admit. It's very hard to have a full view of everything and really know the truth in that area. What this mangaka supported or presented video needs to say is that translation is an art just as much as it is a science, and that the only truth that can be known in comparing scans and official translations is that official translators generally have more experience and real study of the language they translate. This I believe. The scanlators, they no doubt love the Japanese language, the people who do scans, and they love the series they translate. But the perception of official translators of having this devil-may-care attitude and just being hired to translate works that they're not passionate about, and at worst even trying to add their own sort of flair to the manga they translate, needs to stop. I don't believe any of that. I've seen discussion with manga translators on Twitter, specifically Caleb Cook, who has been just absolutely hounded and dogpiled by scan readers so much that he was sort of bullied into leaving Twitter. So, in my opinion, we need to have people who all manga fans can trust, such as a manga author, say that I believe, you know, that the official versions that they have the most talent. If you could get a mangaka like a couple of the ones Caleb Cook translates for, Kohei Horikoshi, did I say Horikoshi? Horikoshi, or Riichiro Inagaki, who have both actually met Caleb Cook in real life, that'd be a great thing because they could endorse him. They could attest to the passion and expertise that he brings to the series. Of course, it probably maybe wouldn't be best to cover Caleb in some sort of official statement because of how controversial he is. So, in the end, with translation, it's incredibly hard to know whether the scans or the official actually makes the better translation, like I said. The mangakas can't really know it. They don't speak, fluent English, most of them probably. I don't speak fluent Japanese. Most fans don't know it. Different translators can disagree on translations. I've seen this in the One Piece community. Big arguments between people saying this is definitely the right Japanese and another person who is also really skilled in translating Japanese saying, no, I don't agree with that. But I think that the official translators do generally have more skill, and the mangakas trust in them and trust in their works. So I think that should be put out there, and fans should know that. So then there's the issue of money, and whether scans, as scan readers say, actually support the mangaka more by bringing awareness and getting people to buy the volumes. That's a big argument as to why scans are fine. This argument should be addressed tactfully, in my opinion, because it'd be really hard to say that manga fans should pay for manga. We all know this. That should not really be something that is really put out in this video. Luckily, great thing is, manga fans do not have to pay for manga, at least not for the newest chapter every week. All they have to do is wait 2 days after scans. And that is not every week. It's every week if you're reading scans first and then waiting 2 days. But it isn't every week if you just start reading the official version, because after that first week, you just stop reading scans. Then you don't have to wait 2 days anymore. You just have to wait 7 days like you were doing before. So that is, I think, a lot of the stuff that could be covered in a video, and I think that it would be really powerful for someone who is closely connected and trusted in the Japanese manga industry to be very frank with all this stuff in a message directly to fans. But all of that still is not really the biggest problem that people have with switching from scans to the official version. Because even if you don't have to wait 2 days to read after you do that for 1 week, what about that sweet, sweet discussion? Okay? The discussion and community surrounding a series, as I explained in a past video, which not anyone watches these, but I do have a past video talking about it, is actually not all that important to me. That's what I talked about in the video. I don't. It's my own relationship, which is a whole thing. But for many people, it's practically as enjoyable as reading the series itself, that discussion, that fan community. And for this, there's really no easy answer. This can't really be the area that companies tackle this problem in. They just can't. They can't ban pre-release discussions on Twitter. Personally, I think that having Twitter ban manga hashtags like, One Piece 1010 or My Hero Academia 259 or whatever it is every week, I think that having Twitter ban those before the chapter's actual release wouldn't be like a morally wrong or bad thing. I think they'd be justified in doing that, but it doesn't seem like they will. Publishers can't shut down fan discussions on Twitter or Discord or forums. They can't just shut them down. And even though several big Jump-related YouTubers wait for the official release to discuss things, that still hasn't really changed much. So maybe the biggest thing that the publishers can do in terms of generating more discussion around the official release would just be to make their comment section better, as I said. It doesn't seem like there's much they can do in this area, unfortunately. They have to tackle it in the other areas. They have to make their site better and convince people through statements delivered by a trusted source like a mangaka. And this is kind of unfortunate since that FOMO, as they call it, of discussion is, as I said, the biggest problem, in my opinion, that the official release actually faces. So that's the video. That's some stuff that I wanted to say about scans. And if you read scans and you got through this entire video, thanks for watching. And I'm not saying that you're an asshole or anything, because you might just be someone who's doing something because they used to do it and are resistant to change. I have a lot of friends who still read scans, and I think they sort of know that there's not really a disparity between the quality anymore, and then they certainly, hopefully, know that the art is definitely worse. But they just do it because it's what they've always done. And amazingly enough, I think there are actually people out there who don't realize that new chapters get released officially every week for free in several languages. I've seen that on the official Shonen Jump Twitter, people responding like not knowing that they can read this on the literal day it releases in Japan, which is a couple days after scans. You only need to wait for one time. So that's all I have to say. I think the TED Talk joke, thanks for coming to my TED Talk, would probably be pretty accurate here, because I think that this video is actually very close to what a TED Talk would sound like. I just need the slideshow, really. And yes, I did write that joke in the script, though I did not write what I'm saying right now in the script, just so you know. That's that. Thanks for watching.